AP US Government students, great to be able to talk to you. We are looking at document dive number 6. Hopefully you're opening up or have already opened up your blue packet to pages 78 to 80. So this is an important document for us to take a look at. As you can see, we're going to be taking a look at a letter from Martin Luther King Jr. that he wrote while he was in jail in Birmingham. So we have to recall that with Martin Luther King, that his occupation was a Christian minister. So you're going to see he's going to have a number of frustrations about what's going on in the South. And one of his main things that he's going to talk about in this letter is that he has frustration with other Christian ministers. He saw them as Christian ministers. People in the South saw them as black Christian ministers and white Christian ministers. And those white Christian ministers that he's going to have a name for them are going to, in essence, come forward and say, hey, Martin Luther King Jr., this is not wise. This is not good. What you're doing, take your time. Things happen slowly here down in the South. And this is him basically saying to them, how dare you? You are saying that you're Christian. You're saying all these things about supporting us in our endeavor, and then you're not. You're not. You're telling us to wait. You're telling us that we're unwise. Get behind us. Support us. If you're saying that you're going to support us, really, truly support us. Don't say that what it is that I'm trying to lead down here is unwise and untimely. It is wise, is what he is saying. Fighting for civil rights, fighting for equality for all people is a Christian thing. And he's saying, don't tell me that we have to wait longer because you're not going through this, we're going through this, and I'm going through this, and it needs to happen now. As we look at this as well, we also have to recognize that this is early on. This is early on, this letter being written early on. And people are still getting to know him. I mean, he's not a national, well-known person at this time, and he felt like in his letter, he has to distinguish himself from other African Americans out there and their cause, specifically those that were calling for militancy, those of the Black Panther movement, Malcolm X, that are, saying we're going to have to literally fight for these rights. And that scared a lot of people across our country. And Martin Luther King wants to distinguish himself as a person that believes that through non-violent means that they can achieve their goals. And so he wants to differentiate himself from others that are calling for violence to be able to bring equality. Let's take a look at a couple of the quotes and things that he has in here. I think that first statement, I mean, it really resonates. I mean, it really kind of makes you think. It really, honestly, it kind of gives me chills. I mean, you take a look at that statement there. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I mean, just brilliant. I mean, it really makes you think about our world, our society, the kind of nation that you want and should expect in our country as you guys grow up and become voters and become more active and engaged citizens. It's really, really good stuff. All right. So, and that's what he's saying. He says there is injustice here, and it's a threat to justice everywhere, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it. And he is justifying his direct action. And this comes back at that, unwise, untimely sort of rhetoric that was trying to push back against him. And he's saying, no, I mean, this is what we have to do. We're not just going to sit back and do nothing. We're going to get nothing, is what he is calling from that. And he's saying that, yes, I know this is going to create tension. I know it's going to be difficult, and I know some of you folks down here don't want to see us do this, but we have to do this. We have to do this in order to get the change that we deserve. It's going to take some tension. It's going to take people being uncomfortable. These sit ins, these marches, and so forth are what it's going to take for us to get change. And he's hoping for change. He's hoping for change from these from these direct actions to get the things that they deserve. What is the I mean, why is he in jail down there? And Martin Luther King wants to get folks to understand that he is not wanting to be this unlawful citizen in our society. He wants to follow the law. He believes in the rule of law. But he's also making it known that the rule of law and the way it's being applied to African Americans in a lot of places, even outside of the South, is unjust. It's unfair. And he's admitting, yes, I did not have a permit. Yes, I didn't have a permit. But here's the deal. They weren't going to give me a permit because I'm an African American man, and that's not fair. That's not following the Constitution. That's not the type of society that we should have. So he's making clear of that point here. All right, at the beginning, I was talking about these folks, these people, these white people that he is going to be talking about as those that say that they're going to help him, say that they support him, but then when it comes down to it, they're not doing it. All right, and he calls these people white moderates. White moderates. And this is a quote that he speaks to them. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill, you have goodwill, is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding of people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering of outright rejection. He's talking about that frustration of you say one thing, but you do another. You say one thing, but yet you do another. He says, as deplorable as the KKK is, and we should all see them as such, they're very upfront about what they say and what they believe, and they followed up on it. And he's talking about the frustration in terms of people that say, hey, we support you, but yeah, if you could wait for a different time or a more wise time, it would be better. And he's expressing his frustration with that here. Final quote as we finish this up. Again, it gets back to this idea of he saw himself as no different than anybody else. And it's great. And that's something that we should all do. Not see this man as any different than anybody else. He just happens to be an African American. And he's playing upon that religious piece. Again, he's a man of faith. He's a Christian person that saw himself the same as any other Christian minister, white or black or otherwise. And he's playing upon that united thing that brings them all together. So you can see he has a lot of religious rhetoric. Describe what he says they all share that he hopes will fuel that success. Them realizing that, what we just talked about, realizing that they all share the same faith. All right? Realizing that we're all a brotherhood, realizing that we all deserve love, we all deserve equality. He's playing upon those things. So he's using those religious components to tie people together. It's a really brilliant way for him to start by talking about it and then coming back to it at the end. You know, a really truly famous letter, one that we can all learn and be reminded of things from. Just really good stuff. So that should hopefully get you to the end of what you need to know from document number 6. Take care. We'll see you soon.